So this is the grind, all right? It's what you see over there, and I think this is when we really, everybody keeps asking, what's your identity? Well, this is what we're figuring out, right? And so this is where we have to continue to push. This is where we have to challenge guys in a lot of different ways. There's nicks and bruises. There's guys that obviously couldn't go today, but the challenge was, are you still a part of it? Are guys going to trust you because they know you're all in what it is you're doing, whether you can practice or you can't practice? If you can't practice, you got to fight through some things. And so we're finding out more. I don't think we started the way we needed to. I think sometimes when you do that, you find out what kind of discipline you have. And in that second crew, that whatever we want to call 1Bs and 2s, we're still trying to figure that out. Right? There's a lot of challenges to be done. I think the higher end guys right now are doing a really good job. Right? There's some guys out there that are making plays and being consistent in what we're doing. It's that next tier that we got to find out a lot about, because as we've all seen, in this league in particular, man, you're not going to go through with 11 guys on offense or 14, 15 guys on D. You better have a solid 22, 24 guys on both sides of the ball that you can count on and trust. I didn't say they all can do the same things. They don't all have the same experiences, but we got the same expectations for them, that they can execute the things we need them to do when they go in there. And so that's what we're trying to find out. That's where we are right now, and we still got a ways to go.
When you talk about building that identity, we've seen some of these run plays in the last few days really start to click, and the run game overall clicking. Is that kind of high on that list?
I think there's some consistency things that we never quite got an ability to do last year, and so that's what we're trying to find out. Do we have the consistency to do the things we know we need to do when it comes down to winning ball games in particular in this league? And so there is some consistency. There's some things we're starting to see. I try to remind it, hey, that I know we all are coaches and we all want to show our creativity, but what it comes back to is the little fundamental things. And so I think we're doing a better job. I think it's given us a chance for some of those other guys that we're talking about that need to step up, that we can put a little bit more of a pressure on them, because we have an expectation that, look, man, this is the same play we've run for, since spring ball, since the OTAs in the summer, since the OTAs in the winter. We expect you to be able to handle it just like the guys that maybe have taken 1,000 reps.
As a guy like Nate Palmer, maybe especially this week, kind of shown a little more.
Today was a really good day for Nate, and Nate is a guy that maybe in the spring showed a little bit, but still we didn't know who we had and who he is. We were just getting to know each other, and today was actually a really big day for Nate because he got dinged up early. He got rolled up in a team setting early in practice, and they took him off and said, I'm not sure if he can come back. And you kind of challenged him to say, hey, can you go? And he came back out here and really did a good job the second part of practice. And some guys don't understand like that. When you want to know, when you're trying to find out about guys, that's what you're trying to find out. You're trying to find out, look, if something happens in a game, if something like that, can we trust you? Can we count on you? And I'm not saying that there's guys that can and can't go, but we got to find out some of those things. And all tailbacks have ability. That's the one position I'd say the separation in ability and tailback position in general is really small. And there's a will and a want to that separates most of those guys in that room. And he's proven some things.
Luke, obviously Eugene's had some really productive days here this fall. Just where have you seen him maybe add some more consistency since the spring, and just what are some of your thoughts there?
I think it started in the winter. I think in his little bit dedication to even challenging and changing some of the things that he does. I mean, he's a gifted guy, but his ability to get stronger, his ability to get faster. We've seen a growth in him from the winter moving forward, and we saw a little bit in the spring. I don't know that I would say I've seen the consistency in the spring, but we saw some flashes that were really, really good. And through this fall camp, we've seen a hell of a lot more consistencies. And if there's one guy that, I could point to in the first 7 or so practices that you say, hey, he has made plays every single day, it has been Gene. And so we're going to keep pushing, keep grinding. We all have some areas we got to continue to grow in. He's got to be able to take care of himself. He got a little bit, dinged up that couldn't go as much today. That stuff's going to happen, but we'll find out if he can take that next step and, continuing to grow even though we don't get as many reps.
Do you have a feeling when you're going to get Haywood?
What's that?
Do you have a feeling when you're going to get Haywood back?
No, I think we're trying to be smart. I think that the idea here of this real grind was through the first 10 days. And not that the next 10 aren't really a grind too, but the first 10 days were going to be a grind, and I wasn't in a hurry to say, look, we need to get him back out there in this grind of things. So hopefully this next week he'll be able to do a little bit more, but we'll have to play that by ear.
Mandel.
What's that?
Mandel.
I'm hoping that we start to see him in there a little bit more. It was kind of the same thing. We knew he was going to be a little bit slower. We didn't know how early or when we would get him in camp, and I think we're still in the same spot. But those are things that we're going to have to challenge ourselves. We're going to have to figure out here in the next 10 days.
Luke, those two being out has allowed some other guys to
Yeah.
get some reps. Can that maybe be a
No,
positive in the long run?
that's really, really big. And I think that's where, there's nothing greater than really a competitive spirit and a challenge inside each room. And I'm not saying we haven't had that, but in the past, the first year we were here, I think all 5 started the entire time. And great, but what it does is doesn't develop some of the younger guys. And then, by nature, we've got really thin in that position. So not that you want guys out, but there's no better time than to give some of these guys opportunities. And it's not like they're not going against anybody, right? I mean, we got some new guys on the defensive front. The thing that's unique about camp, and I'm not giving an excuse for the offensive line guys. I tell them this all the time. If there's 70 plays in a game, they're going to play 70 plays if they can. If there's 70 plays in a game, then 325-pound guys on the inside, they're going to play 30 plays, I hope. And we do that in practice too. And so in days 7, 8, 9, and 10, don't tell them I said this, but I understand that there's a wear and tear, and there's some things that, maybe don't look quite as well, that maybe looks a little bit better on the interior of the defensive line. But as you still see them out there right now, if we're going to create an identity, it's going to be created right there.
As you're building that identity, what's the biggest thing you feel like overall is missing that you still need to see?
I don't know, we can say what's missing. When the lights come on, that's when we got to figure it out. You know what I mean? We've always kind of hammered upon what's the leadership really going to be. To say there's something missing, I don't know what we have before we can figure out what we have that's missing. When the lights come on, that's when we find out. And that's what's, the most challenging thing about our jobs is, not assuming anything. I can tell you that there's a lot of guys we know exactly what's going to happen when the lights come on. We've seen them, we've been here. There's a lot of guys we don't know. So we try to put it in as many situations as we possibly can, challenge them, find out what they're made of, and then we'll find out what we got when those lights come on.
Jumping back to the O-line depth a little bit, Styles Blackman had quite a few first-team reps today, and as we kind of push him for that role, just what do you see out of him making this transition and playing as much as he is right now?
You know what? He's got a unique spirit to play in the game. I mean, he doesn't get rattled. He's played center, he's played guard, he's moved around, he's played with the ones, he's played with the twos. I don't know how many reps he's taken. And can say it's new to him. I don't know that. What he saw last year was 325, 330-pound guys rolling through there, 3 at a time. But you know what? Every day he's come out and he's matched the challenge. I didn't say he's perfect. I didn't say he's great. But if there's one thing that gives you great hope on guys that are going to get better, guys that have some consistency, in particular on the front, up O-line in particular, they come out every single day with the same attitude and the same work ethic to give them a chance to be great.
Luke, with the open practice on Tuesday, fans get a chance to finally see the work this team's been putting in for a while. What do you hope they see, and what are they?
No, I hope they see some excitement, right? I mean, like they again, do they understand that it's the 14th, 15th practice of camp? I'm not worried about that. I think that for them, I hope that they get a chance to see some excitement. I know that not everybody knows the names, right? I mean, that's one of those things that, everybody always says the history of it, like, well, I used to know all the starters. Well, come on to practice, and there might be some new guys, but this is a time to start to learn and figure out who some guys are. They got numbers on their chests. But I think for us, I think it's even as much as for our guys, too. I mean, if it's practice 16, 17, or 18, there's nothing that gives you a little bit more energy when all of a sudden you walk out there and there's something different. It's still going to be the same guys across the line. There's still going to be a lot of the similar things that we're going to do. But when you see a little bit of different energies that's around, I mean, it's a great pick-me-up. And so I'm excited, not just for the fans, I'm excited for our guys to see something a little bit different in days 16, 17, and 18.
How have you seen the battle at cornerback play out between Fletcher and Scott?
At corner, you know what? Somebody asked me that earlier today, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that right now, I mean, there's 4 guys, 5 guys that 4 guys in particular that I think are going to play for us, definitely. Which one has the upper hand right there with Fletch and Jameer? I mean, I don't know. It goes back and forth every day. And I don't think there's anything better for us. But I think that we're going to have the ability to be able to use both of those guys. And so is it going to still be a competitive situation? Yeah, it is. It is. And, we're going to keep putting them in those situations. But, man, that's where you have a little bit of depth, a little bit of a competitiveness that, does nothing but brings out the best in guys every single day. And they're seeing guys on the other side that I think that have a similar competitive spirit that is making this thing a lot different. And, having some depth over at the wide receiver spot helps too. And so I don't know how it's going to play itself out. I know this, though. We're going to have the ability to not just depend on 2 guys in particular and have the ability to hopefully keep a lot of those guys fresh.
With your special teams, have you seen some of maybe your first and second year guys maybe try pushing for roles in that area?
There's a lot of guys. I mean, if you haven't noticed, maybe some of the change, like the Zions, the Zy Davises of this, we're putting in some situations. The Tommy Heibergers that maybe isn't the guy that everybody talks about as with Posa and Cooper Catalano, but like we're counting on him in a lot of things in special teams. But then all of a sudden, there's not. I don't know if you don't notice this, but there's a 3-man rotation there as well. And so some of those things show up in different ways. You're going to see some young guys. We're going to stick some young guys out there to see what they can do as well. Whether they're second-year guys, the Carson Van Denters of the world, those guys are going to have to take some real leadership roles in those special teams. And then you always got the Aaron Witts of the world that make it what it is too. That they know the guy that's in his 6th or 7th year that can take it as serious as they can and can put a little bit of pressure on some of those guys to see if, do we have to have Matt Young? Do we have to have Coop? Do we have to have Posa and some of those guys on those teams to be the best in the country at it? I think we've got some guys that I feel like can make us best in the country at doing that role too.
Sticking with special teams, you're obviously very involved with the punt unit. The rule changes there where you got to have different numbers.
I don't want to get into it. We will be very creative. Let's just say that. So we will be very creative in trying to figure out what everybody else is going to do, but we're going to use it to our advantage if they're going to give us the opportunity. I don't understand the rules just yet. I know that might be bad to say, but obviously Bill Carolla is coming over tomorrow and spending the morning with us to hash out a lot of those types of things to make sure we're all on the same page, because there's so many rules that I don't think anybody understands how people are going to use them.
We've seen Danny O'Neal kind of come back out there and
I think
do some work.
Today or yesterday might have been the first day where he said, hey, he was cleared to be able to do scout work and legitimately be able to take off and run. We've kind of held him out. They said he could do 7-on-7. We came into camp, and I just kind of was like, hey, if he's not able to take off and do all the things in a live setting-ish, we just got to hold him out, because the greatest thing about Danny is you got to hold him back from himself. And so he's the last 2 days has been able and up to be put in those situations. He's just, there's not as many reps out there for everybody, and so he understands that he's going to have to use a lot of the mental reps and prepare himself in different ways for when those opportunities come.
Anything stand out to you about how he went about, or how he's about this?
He is as mature as there is, and his ability to handle all the different adversities, his ability to come back out here and want to compete at it and not be, I would say he's ready, but in some ways us holding him to make sure that we don't put him in a situation that he's not quite ready for. But his ability to be a part of this team and to be a part of the brotherhood and to take a role right now where he's at and take it really serious. I mean, I got the utmost respect for him.
You mentioned Zy Davis before. What has stood out about him? It feels like he flashes every day.
There's a physicality and a toughness that, quite honestly, I don't know that I had seen. Not that I question. Everybody's on a toughness battle or journey, and when you walk in the door here, wherever you are, the whole objective is you have to grow in it, and he has grown, and he's been much more consistent in showing that, in particular, not just to me, but to everybody on this team.
You jumped in the middle of a tiny skirmish at the start of practice.
I did.
Today. It looked like.
I try to stay out of those things. I'm getting a little. Maybe I did. I don't know.
How has that beneficial competition or that beneficial conflict shown itself to you so far?
I think that's a loaded question. If we don't have conflict, if we don't have those moments, then I do wonder. Right, but do we also have the discipline to be able to handle those moments and move on? And that's where, to me, I feel a lot better. I keep saying this. I feel better about where we are. I feel better about there's a competitive spirit to that makes you feel better. There's a leadership part of that makes you feel better. To not have them, I would be more concerned. To worry about them when they walk into the locker room, I would be concerned. And that's where we're in a different place. That there isn't a concern that when they walk off this field, based on what happened on the field, that there's an issue, because there's a difference of some things in there that guys are not going to allow the culture of acceptance in whatever it is that we're doing.